What was your favorite thing about London?
I can't just do this on command. Like, what part? Like,
What was your first thought when you landed and you were going through customs?
thank God. Actually, no, like, going through customs, I was like, this is sucky. This is the worst thing, because we waited in customs for like 2.5 hours. We were like, we're gonna miss our Arcadia bus because they didn't think about customs, and we've arrived before 11, but we're still sitting here in customs. Customs sucks if you're not a UK resident, but so like you're in a line and you just like slowly inch along, but it's not like stopped ever, so you can't sit down because you're always like taking a step forward, and people get mad if you don't take that step forward. So that sucked. But like riding through London on the tour bus, like going from the airport, which is pretty much looks like any rural city like Ohio, then like getting into the streets and like seeing the first double-decker bus and like, oh my god! So, like,
I'm a tourist!
I'm officially here! That was really cool. But and then like getting to where we were staying, it was just up a giant hill. And so like we're watching this on a bus like, wait, this means we have to walk this every day. So that blew. But yeah, it was just nice to get there, and I immediately felt settled. Like when we got out of the bus and everyone was getting their like gigantic suitcases, and I have this one like little blue one, and I'm like, I'm good, this is all I brought. And they're all like lugging them up the stairs because there are no elevators, they don't exist. But
Anywhere in London?
well, I mean, like in the more like in the businesses they do, but not really in home. Like it's just a home where we were. It was just like a boarding school kind of place. But they really don't
So
have
like
a lot
Harry
of lifts.
Potter.
Yeah, like Harry Potter with less magic and more stairs. But yeah, so I had to like climb up the stairs with my suitcase, and everyone was lugging these gigantic suitcases like bigger than them, like trying to pull them up the stairs and struggling, and I was like, I'm good because I know how to pack. But yeah, so like as soon as
More
I
on that later.
more on that later. Yeah, fam. But yeah, so I got settled and I set my stuff down in my teeny tiny closet room and was just like, I'm here. Like, this is it. So, I don't know. I immediately felt at home. It was really nice. Yeah.
What was the first thing you did to unpack in your room? Like, what did you feel was most important to have, like, settled and set up first?
I immediately took out all my clothes. And, well, I mean, with how small the place was, I had a closet with, like, 4 hangers and, like, these little drawers under the bed. So I pretty much, like, took my clothes out, took the ones, because I had business clothes because I was doing an internship, so I took the business clothes out, hung them up, and I literally spent the summer with like 3 shirts on one hanger, like on every one of my hangers, because I didn't want to buy new hangers. But yeah, so I hung up the business clothes, and then I threw all the other stuff in the drawers. It was just like, I'll figure it out later. But then I kind of had a list of things that I needed to get, like shampoo and body wash and stuff, because I didn't want to bring it along with me. And so like I went out and got all the necessities and got groceries and everything, and you know how you would do when you first move into school or something, like, and you don't have anything, you've got to pick all that random stuff up and so you can live. But I had all the things that like I needed to get through the first night, so that's pretty much all you need, and then you can just buy everything else when you're there. But yeah, I don't think that really answered your question.
No, that was good.
Yeah.
How did you adapt to meeting new people? Like, were you nervous to be surrounded by so many people you didn't know? I mean, you're more amicable than I am, but like, how was that being so far from home and not really knowing the people you are now stuck with for 4 months?
Well, I'm actually much better with strangers than I am with my friends. Like, it's so much easier to be myself with strangers, and that's like probably not a good thing, but I can make friends with strangers really fast, so it was actually really nice to kind of go. And I mean, I flew over with someone from Ohio State, so like I knew one person, but I only like really knew her by name because we met to fly together. But yeah, since I didn't know anybody there, it was like nobody knows me, so I can kind of just be me. And it's like, you know what, if I decide I want to be the confident side of Kitty, then I can be the confident side of Kitty all summer. And so you just kind of like, I don't know, it was nice to kind of get to redevelop myself and kind of figure out who I wanted to be and what kinds of people I wanted to surround myself with. So like having to deal with a bunch of strangers who nobody knows you, it's so much easier to kind of shape yourself to your best self. But That's so corny. But yeah, so I don't know. It was nice to get to know people, and everyone there on the trip was there to do internships and because they liked London, so it was really easy because you already have like a common thing to talk about. Oh, you're from what state? Like, you know. And there was a girl on the bus that, like, we all just kind of sat wherever, but it just so happened that the girl in front of me on the bus, like, heard me talking to whoever was sitting next to me about Doctor Who, and, like, asking them if they liked Doctor Who, and she turned around in her seat, like a true fan, and was like, oh my god, I love Doctor Who. So she and I started talking about Doctor Who, and I told her that I hadn't caught up with, like, the latest season, and we agreed on the bus that, where we were staying, that we were going to watch the last season of Doctor Who together, so I could catch up. So, like, I made an Insta friend because I'm a fangirl, so yeah, it was pretty easy.
Now, I know you said, like, was through Ohio State, and they kind of collaborated with Arcadia.
Yeah.
So did they have anything you guys had to do together? Like, did you guys have to take a class together there, or did you have to, like, go to certain events together, or?
Well, okay, so I'm an Ohio State student, but I enrolled in Arcadia University, which is a totally different university. It could be like Penn State. I enrolled in that university for the summer. And so I was technically an Arcadia University student, and so were all the other people on the trip. So, like, our home schools didn't matter because we were, like, technically transfer students for the summer, and we were all in Arcadia there. And so, like, they had Arcadia events, and, like, if you were in a specific class, you had, like, your Arcadia class to go to. I was in the travel writing class, and the other person from Ohio State just happened to be there too, but, like, that was just happenstance. But so basically now I'm enrolled back in Ohio State, and those credits from Arcadia are transfer credits that will hopefully transfer, but not sure if they will yet. But that wasn't the point, so yeah.
Yay!
But they didn't have, like, Ohio State stuff to do. It was all Arcadia.
Okay. So how was it, like, you're in a whole new place? Fortunately, they do speak your language.
Thank God. But better.
And now you have to navigate a whole nother city while doing school. How'd you kind of balance that? Like, did you have time to get used to getting to and from places and finding stores and...
We had, like, I think 2 days before classes started where we had to do all the Arcadia, Orientation, yeah. Arcadia orientation stuff. And, so, like, with that, we kind of had some leeway to kind of figure out the tube pass. Like, they gave us a tube pass, like a 7-day tube pass, so that we could start out being able to get places. And, you know, so we had little Arcadia events to go to and stuff like that where they showed us around a little bit. But then it was just kind of finding time between class and sleep, and then class, internship, and sleep, to just kind of look around. And the first week was just miserable because we had 4 days of classes of, like, 4-hour class segments. So, like, you woke up really early and then you didn't get out until, like, 1, because you had, like, it takes an hour to travel pretty much anywhere in London if you're, like, on the outskirts and you're coming in. So yeah, you had to get up an extra hour early, then you had an extra hour to drive back, and so, like, you could tour afterward, and that's kind of what we did. We got a group of people together and we would get lunch, and then we would go tour the place and, you know, like, hop on the tube and just go wherever because you can. So yeah, it just kind of depended. You kind of, like, the first things first, like, you have to get all your necessities, you have to get food, you have to kind of figure out, okay, how do I get to school and how do I get back home, and what buses can I take, and what, like, tubes should I take, and what's the best way to get there. And you kind of have to figure out all the survival stuff, and then you can go, after you get all the, like, tier 1 things done, then you can, like, go on to tier 2 and, like, actually go out and explore a little bit in the sunlight, because you don't want to go anywhere after dark yet. Safety first, travelers. But yeah. But it's just kind of, once you get comfortable and you're like, okay, I get how the tube works, I get how buses work, and how my Oyster card will work, like, then you kind of take off from there and you go to wherever you want to see, and you have a list probably from Rick Steves or something else, and you're like, alright, like, I want to see Buckingham Palace, then, like, it's easy to find that on the map, so, like, you just go. And Google Maps is awesome, and City Mapper is better. So.
What's City Mapper?
It's this app that, and I'm pretty sure it's only in big cities, like, you can't just get one for Columbus, but, like, they have London and New York and Chicago and all those places, but, like, it's got, basically it's like Google Maps but for the city, and they have, like, bus routes, and they have stuff for the subway, and you can kind of, like, when you're searching like say you want to get to Simon & Schuster from home, then like you can search only by bus, you can search ways to get there, like the fastest ways, you can search like most scenic, most like foot traffic, stuff like that. And so City Mapper is just like a more in-depth Google Maps because there's so many different ways to get there in the cities that like City Mapper kind of like spreads it out for you and says like, here's your 30 options, pick one. So,
yeah. What was the most touristy thing you did?
There's a lot of touristy things. Okay, and I have to explain this because there were plenty, but I think the most stereotypically touristy thing I did was go into one of the red phone boxes and like put the phone to my ear, because nobody does that. Those things are filthy and disgusting, and pretty much the locals say this, I'm not just making this up. Those phone boxes are only used to pee in, to throw trash in, or to do drugs in. So like, you don't want to touch those phone boxes. They really aren't sanitary, but like, it's a stereotypical tourist shot, and I wanted one because I took one when I was a freshman in college and didn't know that they were disgusting, and so like I had to do a remake of the picture, so I'd say that was probably my touristy picture. Yeah. And then like obviously I went to see Big Ben, which is in scaffolding and not pretty right now, and then did the London Eye because you have to do the London Eye, and you know, saw Parliament because you have to see Parliament, and climbed St. Paul's Cathedral because you have to climb St. Paul's Cathedral. But yeah, I did all the main things, but yeah, and so much more.
So now you were in kind of like a little suburb off of London, right? You weren't like right downtown?
I was actually in Archway, which is really close to Highgate and Highgate Cemetery. It's north of London, so it's the last stop on the Northern Line before you get into Zone 3. So it's like right on the edge. And like the zones are important because to pay for your tube pass, if you're in Zone 3, you have to pay more to get from Zone 3 to Zone 1 than you do to if you're doing Zone 2 and Zone 1 together. So like if you're buying a monthly pass, it's more expensive if you include 3 in it. So like it's good that we were right on the edge of 2, because we saved a lot of money. But yeah, so we were in Archway, and that, I can't think of like what that subdivision is called because it was really pretty. But like we were in the Archway area, really close to Waterloo Park, which was great. And apparently, which we found out about halfway through, that it's like a really affluent part of town, and like a lot of actors live there now, and it's really close to like a whole bunch of really artsy kind of the hipstery stuff, but it's like all really old. Like that's the best way I can explain it. But yeah, so we were in like a really good part of town. There was like 0 crime, and like apparently they've got really good schools over there, so like highly recommend being in the Archway area so that you can walk home at night with groceries and not feel uncomfortable.
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it. And it's also like really quiet compared to like living in the middle of London in a flat where you just always hear street noise and always have lights, so like it was nice.
Now, since you spent so much time there, what's something you learned that's kind of like a tip or trick that you might not know just being a normal tourist?
Like transportation-wise, or just living there?
I think like Rick Steves through the back door. Like the stuff that, you know, it's not advertised, so you don't really pick up on it, but it makes life way easier.
You know, I'm sure I have a lot of...
I would say the first one that popped to my head was the like dollar store markets that you were...
Oh, the co-op?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, the best thing that for a college student who has no money, the best thing that I found for me staying there, since I really don't have I have a pretty bland palate, so it doesn't really matter to me what I eat, but they have these grocery stores called Co-op, and it's basically...
It is not Coop, it is
it's
Co-op.
not Coop, it's Co-op. That's why the sign is a square and it has Co and Up. Not Coop. People will look at you funny if you say, where's the Coop? So the Co-op is kind of like a really small, like really, really tiny Aldi, if you can picture that. And so they have this little section on the back wall that's like meal deal, and so you can basically get lunch there for like under £5. I think I always got a sandwich, chips, a drink, and like fruit. I always got like pomegranates, which pomegranates are expensive, and I would get pomegranates and then the other 3 things, and it was all like £4.50. So it was about like $6-ish, which is awesome for lunch, especially if you're having pomegranates too. Can't get over the pomegranates, awesome. But like they have it in like lunch size, like just single portion. So and they have like a spoon in there, like for if you're getting fruit that needs a spoon or a fork. So it's pretty much like you grab it, you go to a park and eat it, and it's really cheap. So like that's probably the best thing to save money on food if you don't like have to have a 5-star meal. But yeah, that was really great, and it's not Pret, which Pret is basically like a healthy McDonald's. And I say that because McDonald's is a chain and Pret is like the chain there. And it's like healthier food, and it's actually like pretty cool and expensive-ish, but like it's a chain, and so like at least it was kind of getting away from like chain food, sort of.
I think I actually saw a Pret in New York.
Really? They're expanding. Oh, and the other thing, there's a clothing store called Primark, and there's actually, it's also invading America. I think it's in Boston now. But they have the cheapest clothes. I got to London and was anticipating like cold, but not cold. Like I was ready for shorts and a tank top, like cold. And so I froze my butt off the first couple of days, and then we had a heat wave. But so when I was freezing, I went to Primark and I got a sweatshirt for like £2. Like, I'm not even kidding. I mean, that was on clearance, and then the other one I got was like £4. But like, you can get clothes for really, really cheap, and they're pretty good quality. Like, I even brought them home. And so like, if you need to go shopping or want cute clothes for cheap, like, it was awesome that they were so cheap. But yeah, so Primark, go to Primark. Advertising for them, and they have a Friends line now, like Friends the TV show, so yay. And then the other thing, if you're gonna stay for more than a week, and even really like if you're there for a week, if you are really adamant on having data on your phone, buy an SD card, or a SIM card. Is that the?
I think it's a SIM card
with the number. Buy a SIM card, because like you'll get a new number, but you can text UK numbers, and you have data, and you can use your Google Maps, and like it was just, for me it was worth it because I was there for 2 months. But like, even if you're there for a week, like, it's not that expensive. I think it's £7.50. So like, if that's an expense that you'd be willing to pay, like, it's like 5 gigs of data, so you won't be needing data. So that was great for me.
They weren't that expensive either. It was maybe like $15.
Oh, was it? Oh, monthly it's £7.50. I think that was on like a special, because EE was trying.
Or I might be thinking both me and Mom.
Oh, you might be.
Maybe. But it still wasn't bad at all.
It was cheap. And check out the market, because there's like 12 different phone carriers for like this teeny tiny little island. So like, you'll get a good deal. Same thing with grocery stores. They have like 12 different grocery stores, and they all sit right next to each other. Like, I'm not kidding. They have like, oh, what's the one by me? Sorry. There's two. There's like a Waitrose. Waitrose is like the high-end supermarket, and then they have I can't think of it, but like there were two supermarkets right next to each other, like literally next door. Like, their freezer aisles were backed up against each other, and they're both grocery stores selling the exact same things. I just, like, so yeah, that's bizarre, but that's off topic too. But yeah, grocery stores. Yeah.
What did you enjoy the most about your classes overseas? I mean, it's school, but
I enjoyed that they were over halfway through. Yeah, I guess we got to do it for, I mean, one class was the internship class, so like, we didn't really do anything with that class other than like write our paper. But for my travel writing class, it was nice that we actually got to kind of, for a couple of our classes, we did like day trips during our class period, and we went out to different places around London that I wouldn't have gotten to see otherwise, or wouldn't have thought to see. Like, we went to South Bank, which I would have gotten to eventually. Like, I mean, it's South Bank, like, you have to get there to get to the London Eye. But we went there to practice doing, what are those audio news, like, podcasts. We went there to practice writing introductions for podcasts. We had to like use our senses and absorb what was happening at South Bank to write a good podcast intro for one of our assignments. So like we got to go over to South Bank, and that was nice. But then we also got to tour, I think it's Bloomsbury or Bloomberg News. It's sad that I don't remember which one because it's kind of important, but yeah, so we kind of got an inside look at their brand new facility, and we got like little badges for the day, and we got to tour an actual newsroom, so like that was really cool to get to see that. So I think that's my favorite part, like just getting to go to places that like with a guide who's been living there for 20 years, who could show us around and like tell us what we're looking at, so that was really cool.
Tell me about your internship.
I was interning at Simon & Schuster UK, and it was literally amazing. I want to go into the publishing company, and Simon & Schuster is a publishing company. I want to go into the publishing industry, and Simon & Schuster is a publishing company. And so I was really lucky, and I got to be in the children's editorial department, and it just so happened to work out that my supervisor, she was supposed to be my supervisor, and her last week at Simon & Schuster, because she was moving on to a different job, was my first week there. So I got trained for my 3 days, because the internship was 3 days a week, and I got trained, and then she left. So like I was kind of like, if I didn't learn it the first time, I was gonna have to ask questions. So it's kind of like you have to pick up things really fast, but it worked out in my favor because I kind of got to pick up the responsibilities that she had. So I was really lucky that I kind of got to do a little bit more than a regular intern would, and I had a little bit more responsibility with that, and I got to log all the submissions and read submissions and write up reports on them and give my feedback and go to meetings and write down the minutes for those meetings, and just really kind of get to know the staff in a way that I don't think I would have gotten to know them if I had just been a regular intern. So like the stars just kind of aligned, and it was perfect. And they're all such sweet people, so it was really great to like get to hang out with them for a month and a half. But yeah, I learned a lot about the publishing company and kind of what it takes, how you make a book. And since I was in children's, it's fiction up to young adult, and then the picture books. And so I got to see how picture books are made, like from just having a submission of text to having like an illustrator come in and do rough sketches and have you figure out like page layouts, and it was just, the whole experience was really cool. It was all like super in depth, and I felt like I was one with the company, even though I was just there for a short while. So like I had to ask a bunch of questions like all the time, and I felt so bad because I kept interrupting people to like by the way, how does a copier work? But yeah, I don't know, it was a really great experience, and I learned a lot.
What do you feel you learned most from this trip? Not necessarily school-wise, but just like from the whole experience and how it's impacted your life now that you're coming home or are home.
Now that I'm home, okay. That one's actually a little bit easy, because, and I know that this is like so stereotypical of like what people say after they've traveled, because they're learned now and they understand the world. But I really feel like I kind of got to know myself better, just because I wasn't around people that I knew, and like it was kind of like a fresh start, even though I'm in college, and it's kind of like, shouldn't college be that? But like I felt like I've always felt that I've kind of been stuck in this one personality because everyone knows me as like a good driver, a good student, a rule follower, you know, like list everything down. And I felt like I kind of had to stick to that mold that I had been put into since birth. And so, and even in college, because I went to a college that wasn't that far away from home, and, you know, when I was getting to know my roommates, I still, like, didn't know who I was yet, so I was still kind of going along with who high school Kitty was, and then when my roommates knew that person, it was like, you can't change now, because they like this one, and what if they don't like you as whoever you become? And, which is horrible of me to say, because they wouldn't do that, but...
Well, but I feel like that's something familiar to a lot of people, though.
Yeah. So, yeah. But getting to go to London, where literally no one knew my name, and literally no one knew my name, they kept spelling it with an E, and that was like...
you spell kitty with an E?
No, Catherine.
Oh, I was like, how are they misspelling kitty?
Like, K-I-T-T-I-E.
I know.
No, my name is spelled K-H-E-H-A-R-I-N-E, and everyone, literally even Arcadia, who asked me for my passport and like basically my birth certificate and should know, they spelled it K-A-T-H-E-R-I-N-E, and I was like, so that was my one like twitch. But you know, anyway, they literally, like, no one knew me, and I wasn't going with anyone, like any buddies from school, and so when I got to London, it was kind of like, I'm not going to run into anyone I know. Like, there's a 0% chance that I will run into anyone I know. So who do I want to be? And I kind of got to like relax a little bit, like you just like feel calmer, because it's like, okay, I don't have to like stay with this image. And so I kind of figured out like what kind of a person I am, what kind of things I want from myself, and I want like in the friends that I make. And you know, I kind of got to know the kinds of people I can tolerate and can tolerate me. And so I don't know, I just feel like I learned a lot about myself and what I want and who I want to be and like how I want to behave and what things I value. And so and I made friends that complemented that. And when I made friends with people there, or started to make friends with people that I just didn't mesh with, I let it go. Like, you don't have to be friends with these people. And so I found a really great group of girls, and like, you know, I feel like we all kind of got to go on a little adventure together, and we had some really deep talks, and I kind of learned a lot about myself that you don't really learn until you're like thinking out loud, and then you say something, you're like, oh, that's why I am the way that I am. And so I don't know, I know it's so stereotypical to say that I learned, like I found myself traveling, but I feel like when you're not forced into a mold that you've been in, you kind of figure out like who you are and what's important to you, and then when you come back, you bring it back with you, because like, you know what, who cares? I'm getting to the point where I'm like, who cares what people think? So, and I've been waiting for that point for 21 years now, so like, it just took a trip to London. But yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing, is that I kind of like got my priorities straight and figured out like, hey, this is who I am, and you know what, I like her. So, yeah. That's so stereotypical, but true.
Hey, there's a reason that there's a stereotype.
Touche.
Alright, well I think that's a good place to
Cool.
call it, because we're going to be talking more in depth about like packing and the differences in culture and
candy.
the fact that you stand on the right of the escalator and you walk on the left, and people actually do that literally consistently.
People will nudge you with briefcases. I watched this happen. I was behind this person, annoyed because the person was standing on the left, and I was like, excuse you, like a classic Londoner. And I was looking at this person, because there were like a few people up, and I was looking at them like, you need to move over. And this guy came storming up the escalator, didn't even think twice, just took his briefcase and like shoved the person over. And the person was like, but I mean, you move over, you stay on the right, because people have an understanding that you stand on the right, and if you're not on the right, they get really mad, because it's a big deal to them to be able to have the right and the ability to walk if they want to walk up that escalator.
It's a very organized city.
Yes. Very. Sorry.
So, no, you're fine, but yeah, I think that gives us a little insight into you and your experiences.
Yay, thanks.
Yay!
I'll be here all week.